Merson, I want to. We spoke about your addiction, your problems, and that. There, how do you feel it? Well, looking back in your career, do you feel as if you could achieve a lot more as a player?
Oh, good question. Maybe. Yeah, I mean, I never really looked after myself like I could have, and I don't mean that. I wouldn't drink. I mean, once or twice I had a drink on a Friday before a game. Twice. Once was on Christmas Day before a Boxing Day game, and the other time was first game of the season. I had a drink the day before, and I didn't get until 4, and I played on the first day of the season. They were the first two, the only 2 times. By that, I never drunk 48 hours before a game. But mentally, I probably could have played better. When you're gambling, your head ain't right. It ain't right. I always say to people, you stop gambling, if you've got a gambling problem, you could take your game up 20%, 20% without even thinking about it. You know, that worry, everything goes out the window. Everything.
See on that, like, what was your pattern as such, like in terms of, because we hear stories of there was players like late to go out to games and, you know, missing the warm up and stuff like that. Was that the same with you? Or?
Oh my God. You can ask the lads at Arsenal. I mean, that we used to have a halfway house at Arsenal, which you go down, as you go down the corridor, you had the away dressing room, manager's office, a little other office with a TV for the lads, and then our dressing room. I mean, I'd be in there at 3:15 on the table, whipping them home at 3:15 before. I never went out for a warm up. Never done. I just stretched off in the thing. Oh yeah, I mean. And then at 3 o'clock, I time it right at 3:45. We didn't have all that 2 and 3 minutes injury time like you do now when you lift the ball up. At 3:45, I'd sprint up the tunnel straight into the halfway house to catch the race at 3:45. And then lads would be going, "Where's Merson?" And then I'd run in the dressing room like I was talking to someone on the pitch.
I mean, you're already doing your Frankie Dettori impressionist.
Mental. Yeah, when if I played in the reserves, if I got punished and played in the reserves, I'd have a mate of mine who was my best mate. The end we were kicking down, I'd have him on my side of the pitch telling me the results, so I could get the results of the horse racing.
It's mad. Do you think players could cope with that now, Miss? You know what I mean? Because of the pressure it's on them and the high expectations. And as we touch upon it about social media, that's another world of expectation. Imagine players like that now. You know, you'd be right under the telescope.
Yeah, I mean, there'll be players punting. I mean, but there's times and places now. I mean, them days then it was completely and utterly different. I mean, completely and utterly different. I mean, some of the bets, you know, that I had, you just can't do it now. You won't be able to bet on your own team to win. It's impossible. You know what I mean? You know, I had 60,000. What was it? £50,000 on us to beat Wimbledon away when I was at Portsmouth. They hadn't won a game for God knows how long. They were playing at Selhurst Park. We went 1-0 in 5 minutes, got beat 2-1. I mean, you know, how
was your head? Like, see when they went 2-1. How was your head during that game?
You know what? I don't know. It's like my mate always said to me, my mate who I used to punt with all the time, my best mate, and he used to say, "How comes you don't get the ump?" And I wasn't one of them people. I wasn't one of them people who went mad. Do you know what I mean? My mate would go mental. If he lost, I've seen him like pull every paper off the betting shop wall and start throwing bricks at the satellite on the roof and all that. I mean, I know this might sound a bit weird, but this might sound a bit weird. I never had a concept of money. Never. I never felt like I earned money. I don't know if it sounds like playing football is the ultimate job. It's the best job in the world. So when I got money and if I lost it, I never sat there and thought, fuck, I just worked so hard for this money. Like my kids started to bet. Like I've got 3 older boys as well, who are 29, 27 and 25. And they started to get into betting a bit years ago. And I started to worry a bit. And I thought, when they get a little bit older and they have to work for their money, the penny will drop. the penny will drop. You know, you go and work at 9 till 5 and you're getting home at 7 and you're only seeing your kids at weekends. You don't want to give your money away. Mm-hmm. And thank God the penny dropped with the kids and they don't gamble, which is great, which is brilliant for me. That's great. But for me, I never felt like I worked for money. I played the best sport. I played sport. I played football. I mean, I never had that. If I lost, oh my God, I've just worked so hard to get that money. I'm doing something I love.
Yeah. Plus, you knew it was coming back in the following week.
Yeah, and now I save up. Now I have to save up. If I want to go on holiday, I have to save up. I have to save up. You know, it's not, you know, I'm not a multi-millionaire or a millionaire like I was before. You know, I have to save up. And there's so much, I don't want to give my money away anymore. Mm-hmm. I don't want to give it away. It's my money now. I earn my money now. I earn my money. You know, I go work now. I mean, I know it's the second greatest job in the world. Soccer Saturday it is. You know, playing football and then working on Soccer Saturday, they're the two best jobs for me. But I have to, at least, you know, I appreciate it now. You know, I'm 52. I've just started over the last 4 or 5 years. And I hope people don't look at this and think, fucking greedy. What? And it's not greed. That's how my head thought. It didn't really appreciate
I understand that. Merson, see looking at it now and what you know and the sacrifices that you made back then, would that have meant a hell of a lot more to you in what you know now, you know, about money and the sacrifices you made in your career and stuff, you know?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely. I mean, you know, there's a saying in everything. There's always a saying you always hear is, cool, if I only knew what I knew now at 22.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
You know what I mean? How many times you hear that? But that's through experience. That's all it is. You know, when I was manager of Walsall, there was one thing I just kept on saying to the players. It soon goes. It soon goes, this career. It soon goes. It soon goes. But when George Graham was saying that to me at 20, I used to sit there and think, I've got 15 years left. 15 years is a lot. Ages. Ages. You know, but it isn't. It just goes like that. And with gambling, which is so rife, as what I believe is rife, you know, you can lose everything. No professional footballer who plays in the Premier League should ever have to work again. Should never have to do a day's work. It's criminal if they have to do a day's work. Criminal. But if they gamble, and I don't bet anymore, but I'd have £1 million on, they'd have to work again. Because I don't care how much you're on. You could lose it. If you're on 100 grand a week, you ain't having a £10 Yankee. You know what I mean? Yeah. You're not having a £10 Yankee. You know, so this is what I think players, like as Chris just said with me, you always knew the money was coming in. But it soon stops. It soon stops. And with what's happened now, with this coronavirus, it ain't going to be like it used to be. The next contract ain't going to be, you know, if it was 100 grand, it ain't going to be 100 grand. You know, and you got to think, when players are retiring at 32, 33, they still got another 50 years of life. 50 years. It's a long time. And
they've already become accustomed to a certain lifestyle as well.
Well, of course you do. Yeah, exactly. Of course you do. You know, 1 minute you're turning left at the air, you know, when you get on the plane, and you're turning right. You know, that starts it off straight away.
I passed Snoddy one day at Glasgow. He was turning left and I was up the back.
Yeah, exactly. But that's the ego when you're turning right.
That was him.
You think everybody's looking at you thinking, oh,
that was him.
Now, but
he was trying to rub it into me, Merce. He actually thought he's like, boy, they'll see it the other side, and he was trying to rub it into me.
Yeah, I went Florida about 5 years ago, and I got on the plane with John Parrott and his wife and kids, and he went left. I was like, fucking snooker, you won about 100 years ago, you won that world title. Yeah, he went left.
They had a seat for his snooker queue as well.
Honestly. Brilliant. Oh, what a lovely bloke. But fair play to him. He was like, wow, now I play snooker.
Yeah. Listen, you played for England. Touching on England, I know obviously you're passionate in different things, you know, about your country, and you played for England at the European Championships. Then you played in the 1988 World Cup. How good was that? How special was that for you?
Yeah, I would say highlight of my career. I would say, I mean, to play in a World Cup, you know, it's brought up, you know, for me, 82, I watched the World Cup in 82, which was my favourite World Cup of all time. And then to go and play in the World Cup was phenomenal. To go and play in a World Cup and play for your country and to know that every person, even a Tottenham fan, loves you that day. That just shows you how much it comes together. It's like, when Scotland play, when the lad Griffith scores the goals against England, when he scores that goal in the stadium to go 2-1, every Rangers fan jumps up that day. Every Rangers fan. They don't just sit there and go, oh, because he plays for the Tick, I ain't jumping up. That just shows you, like, the ultimate of playing for your country. And to play in the World Cup and to score a penalty in the World Cup was special.
How was because it's obviously been labelled as a golden generation and never delivered. How did you feel as being part of that? And do you feel as if England did underachieve?
It's an hard one, really, because there were some special foreign players around the countries at the time, where they had unbelievable players. You see a lot of countries now will probably have 2 or 3 top players. You look at certain teams in them days and everybody had, like, world-class players all through the team. I mean, it's a hard thing to win a competition. I don't care how good you are. I've seen teams, you've only got to look at the Brazil 82 team that gets beat. I mean, there's special teams that lose. And to go to tournaments, you've got to have a bit of luck. And the golden generation, I mean, it was hard to play for your country. We just talked about Matt Letizia earlier. There ain't many talented players more than Matt Letizia, eight caps.
Seen the build up to 98, it was obviously a turbulent time, with off the field antics and Holiday and stuff like that as well, and leaving Gaza. Did that have an impact on the squad?
I don't think so. I think people, by the time we went to the squad, I think people got on with it. I don't think anybody come away from the World Cup and thought, if Gaza was here, we'd have won the World Cup. I think it's very strange you can get knocked out in the last 16 and come back as heroes. There's ways of losing football matches. We've seen it a million times. We've all played the game where there's ways of losing when you lose a game and you don't get any stick at all, and you lose another game and you get absolutely ripped to shreds. So, no, I don't think it was a case where we sat, with Gaza. I think Gaza was a different player by the time 98 came round.
See, touching on the England setup, Merson, see now looking at do you feel as if England right now in the current team, do you feel as if they're ready to win a tournament? You say about winning the tournament's hard. Do you feel as if they've got the qualities right now to go and win a tournament?
I would say yes. I think defensively we're not great. I think we have to play 3 at the back. I don't think we're good enough defenders to play 2 at the back. I think we need a bit of insurance in case there's a mistake. I think Stones is a very gifted player, but I mean, it might sound silly, but I think because the game comes so easy to him, he's more vulnerable for a mistake, where other players who play at the back who are nowhere near got his talent have got better concentration levels because they have to concentrate for 95 minutes in the game, because if they don't, they'll get found out. So I think when you've got people like Stones in the team, I think if we play 3 at the back and you've got someone like him who's comfortable on the ball, where if he does make a mistake, we got someone to help out, I think we got a chance. I think if we start playing 4 at the back, I think there's better forwards around that are going to hurt us.
Punishes.
But I think some of the young players we got now are just phenomenal. I mean, you watch Sancho at Germany. I mean, I don't know the lad, but I admire him so much, to leave England and go and say, you know what, I'm good enough to go and play. And if I'm good enough to play, people will see me how good I am and I'll be back and I'll get a good move. I think nowadays, youngsters get frightened. They think, you know what, I might get found out here. So I'm just going to take the first big move. I'll take the first move. I'll get my money and then I'm all right. When you've got people like him who go, you know what, I'll show you. I've got the confidence and belief. And I hope he gets everything he deserves, because he's shown a lot of bottle to do what he's done.
Merson, I want to go back to 98. Did you feel sorry for Beckham, David Beckham, when he got the red card?
Oh, 100%. 100%. He got caught. I mean, Simone, he done him a kipper. Yeah, I mean, David Beckham was a special player. I mean, I'm going to go probably one of the most underrated players I ever played with. And people are going to go, oh, he was brilliant. He was brilliant. But I don't think he gets the credit he deserves. He was the best crosser of a ball you ever see. He's probably the best ever. I mean, Snods will tell you he's a brilliant crosser of a ball himself. But the lad was was the best I've seen. You know, he was up there with the best, and I felt sorry for him because he's such a nice bloke as well. He's such a nice bloke, and you got to remember, if it weren't for him, we wouldn't have got there, because his goal against Colombia, his free kick was a special free kick as well. So yeah, I feel sorry for people like that. He didn't mean to do what he done. He just caught up in the motions and wanted to win.
Well, see, obviously we're touching, or you just said about playing it free at the back for England, the current setup. I've had this discussion, and you speak about the lads, and have their coffee, and we talk about England, Scotland, have the banter and stuff. But one topic that's always come up, you have free. So while we've got you here, what would your formation? What's the best England formation? Would you say? But it's set up now. Obviously, you're touching on Sancho as well.
He wasn't prepared for this. Come on.
Yeah, I wasn't prepared, but I haven't got that.
Hey, you're used to carrying me, so it's my turn to give you a bit. Come on, hurry up.
I'm back on 10 in a couple of days.
Jeff's usually get them all the questions. There you go, guys.
Yeah,
by the way, 11 o'clock. That's what I'm going to ask you today. Do you know what I mean?
No. Honestly, it's not all off the cuff. Honestly,
no, because
it's
on topic. I want to talk about it, Merson, because it is interesting, because
it is so odd. I mean, I played definitely Maguire, definitely Stones, but owning Stones in a 3, I can't play him in a 4. I like Stones, and as I said, I think he's that naturally gifted that's where he makes mistakes, because it's so easy for him. But he was one of them players that I would like to have played against, because I know he could have me in his pocket all game, but I know he's going to give me a chance before the game finishes. One of the best I ever played against was Paul McGrath. He was a nightmare. The ball would go down the channel, he'd run across, he'd smash it 40 rows into row Z and jog back into his position. And he would do that every single time. And you had to keep on chasing him down, but you knew what he was going to do. But with players like Stones, by the end of the game, he's going to do a Cruyff. He's going to get fed up with doing the easy stuff. And I think, who else? I think Smalling's done great in Italy. And I think if you've done great in what you're doing in Italy, I think that gives you another chance to get back into the squad, in my opinion. And I think if you could play Stone, Smalling, Maguire, and then have Stones as the man behind who could come out with the ball, I think that works. I mean, I think we're blessed at wing backs. I really do. I think, you've got Chilwell, you've got Walker, you've got young James who's coming through, you've got Wan-Bissaka, you've got Trent Arnold. I mean, I've just reeled them off for fun. I mean, we're blessed in that position, like Scotland are.
You just need Andy Robertson to balance it up in the left.
With Andy Robertson, I mean, one of their best players is the fullback. So for me, we're blessed in that position. I think going forward, I think it's been right that the competition didn't go on, because I think England would have struggled without Kane and Rashford, and if they were there, they wouldn't have been 100% fit.
Merci on Harry Kane. Do you put him up there with the Shearers, the Fowlers, the elite of the English game? I mean, I'm saying Robbie Fowler because I loved him. I thought Robbie Fowler was unbelievable.
Robbie Fowler's phenomenal forward. I'm a massive fan of Harry Kane. I'm a massive fan, because what I like about Harry Kane, I can watch Harry Kane play sometimes, and you sit there, you watch for 90 minutes, you can watch a whole game, and he won't get a kick. And you'll go, people are telling me he's world class, this lad. He hasn't got a kick today. Not looked like scoring, brought nothing to the party. 3 days later, he'll get a hat-trick.
Yeah.
I mean, to be mentally strong like that, you played up front yourself, Chris. To be mentally strong like that, to be marked out the game in certain games, and to bounce back like he does, I think he's a phenomenal player. I think he's brought a lot more to his game. I think he can hold the ball up. He's got great vision. I'm a massive fan of his. I mean, if I was a Tottenham fan, I'd be worried at the moment that he could be on his way, because, I think that highly of him. I think he could play for anybody.
Where do you think he could go?
I think anywhere. I think whoever wanted him. If I was Man United, I'd take him. I think Man United. I think if Man United could get Harry Kane, I think they become major players. I really do. I think if you can get him, and then you have Rashford and whoever besides. I think James needs another year or two, maybe. I think it's still a lot to be worked on with James. But if you can get Martial playing, or they can go and get Sancho, I mean, Harry Kane brings players in. I think they need a focal point, Man United, and they haven't really got that at the moment. I think Rashford's a special player, but you need someone with experience. If you want to go and win the Premier League, you need someone who's going to go up there and grind it out for 38 games.
Mers, I'm not letting you go. Who's joining Harry Kane up top? Come on, who's joining on that? Who's joining? You played me two wingers, Mers.
Well, I mean, them days are well gone, and I mean, it's all three up front now, one and then two either side. I think Rashford definitely plays. I think Rashford's a talent. I really do. I think we forget how young these kids are and what they do year in, year out. I don't know. Then I mean, I think people have short memories. I thought last August, September, October, I seriously thought Raheem Sterling was the best player in the world. I thought he was better than Messi and Ronaldo at that time of the year.
I agree with that.
I think he was putting up numbers that they weren't putting up. He was unplayable, and then he sort of got injured and he sort of lost his way. I don't know if it was confidence that, do you play him? Do you play Sancho? I think England are blessed. I think Gareth Southgate has got an unbelievable job, and you've got certain players. You've got Mason Mount to come and Maddison to come and people like that, and Tammy Abraham is going to be better.
Jack Grealish.
For me, Jack Grealish, I think he's the best about. I think he's the best in the business. I really do.
I think so. I
think he's the best out of everybody, in my opinion. But we're blessed. We've got so many good youngsters. But we all know 12 months in football is a long time. A long time. You've only, these players are reeling off. If God forbid they get injured or they go 10 games without scoring, they're out the team. And Gareth now, it's not like before. If you were playing for England and you were out of your club team, you still had a chance of playing for England. It was one of them situations. I don't see that with this squad. I think if you're not, we've seen it with Kyle Walker. You need to be playing for your team, and I think 12 months' time, there could be a few changes.
See, merci on that. When talking about Southgate and spoil for choice, did you think that Gareth Southgate would become the manager? It was you obviously played with him.
I don't. I played with Gareth. I think Gareth was a player. When I went to Villa, you watched Gareth. I didn't realise how good a player Gareth was until I got to Aston Villa. He was a proper defender. I mean, a proper player. He loved football. I see him being a manager. I didn't see him being the England manager. But I think what he's done, which I think is the most important thing to do, is to take people's club game and take it to England without changing too much. And what Gareth's done is he's got plenty of pace in the team. He plays at a high tempo. And I think I've always said, if we can play like the Premier League and play at 100 miles an hour, no one will be able to live with England. But the problem we have, and I think Gareth solved that problem, is we have that problem over the years of we kick off and we play international mode. We roll it out the back and we roll it here and we roll it there and we keep it here and the crowd start going mad, and then all of a sudden after 25 passes we lump the ball forward. I think now Gareth's gone right, bang, play 100 mile an hour. We might be a little bit open every now and then, but we're going to hurt teams. And I think that's what he's done. I think, Wayne Rooney was taken out the equation quite quickly. An unbelievable player like Wayne Rooney, to make that statement and to take Wayne Rooney out the squad was a big statement. Because
did you feel as if, did you think Gareth was, I don't want to say able because you've been in the position you could do it, but did you feel as if he was someone who could have made the big decisions when he was playing? You know what it's like?
Yeah.
Would you said maybe a Tony Adams would have been right through you? Gareth strikes me as somebody who's really quiet in it, but to make big decisions that, like you said, Wayne Rooney's the record goal scorer for England, to more or less say, right, the time's up, let's
go.
Man
United.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Man United. Gareth was very vocal at Villa. Very vocal. He'd let you know if he wasn't doing the business. He wasn't. I think people think, oh, he's quiet, he's shy, and he was my captain at Villa, and he'd let you know if he wasn't doing it. Tony was like that, but so was Gareth. But that was a big decision, to leave out record goal scorer and all that experience. And all the players looked up at Wayne Rooney. You hear all the players say what a great bloke he was, always looked after him at England. And he was a team player and a squad player. So for Gareth to do what he did, but Gareth wants to play at high tempo. He wants to play a Premier League way. And I think if England can play that way, I don't see how England won't win a tournament in the next 2 tournaments. I don't see if they don't win the Euros or the World Cup. I really don't. But we have to play at that tempo. If we don't, we'll be owned before the quarterfinals, because we can't play this tippy tappy football. We can't play it.
So, see, when you spoke there, Merson, he did exactly the same with Joe Hart, if I remember. He played all the games, didn't he? All the qualifying games. And I remember speaking to Harty about it. But the way he dealt with it was, he spoke to Joe openly and, speaking to him and explaining the decision. Speak to Declan Rice and he says, the way he talks to the players, the relationship he's got with the players, you see that it's like a club feel, isn't it, when you see them at the end and they're quite emotional when they get knocked out the tournament for, I think it's Croatia. So he has brought that club feel to the setup, hasn't he?
Yeah, and I think because he's not long retired or been in club football, I think he's learnt from the Middlesbrough situation, and he's not an old manager. And what I like about him as well, he's been there. He's done it. Yep. He's been at a World Cup. He's been at a Euros. He's missed a massive penalty in the Euros, so he knows how players are feeling. You can go to Gareth and go as a manager and go, you know what, I feel a bit uptight today. I feel a bit nervous. He's been there. I used to go into schools and talk about drink and drugs and things like that, and the teachers used to go to me, "Oh my God, I've never known the kids to sit down like this for half an hour and do and listen." We had a policeman in 4 weeks ago, and everybody's talking and everything. Because the first question is what was it like when you took it? Well, I never took it, so no one's really, you know what I mean. You don't get that. You don't get people listening to you, and with Gareth, he's been there, and it wasn't too long ago. And I think he's learnt from Middlesbrough and everybody talks highly of him. I mean, the hardest thing in the world is to keep every player happy. We know that. If you're not in the team, you're not happy bunny. You're not an happy bunny.
Especially managing you when you're not even wanting to go back to the team bus. You're just jumping away yourself.
Exactly. And then when I was manager, I didn't have that thing of Gareth. Gareth's a very clever man. He's got a massive array of words. He's an intelligent man. He can put his way across a lot better than me. When I was manager at Walsall and we lost the game, my team talk was a lot different to Gareth's. I ain't got them words. My every other word with me was an F word. Do you know what I mean? It's not, I know the feeling. Looking back now, it's not the way to manage. And I wasn't. It was just that I wasn't clever enough. I'm a clever footballer, but I wasn't clever in life. And there's certain ways to put your way across, and that was my big regret as a manager. I didn't have that vocabulary of words to put myself across. Instead of my way was F this, F that, F that. We all know you get fed up with that in the end. Players think, "Oh, stop going on," and that's when you need a big player in the dressing room, like a Tony Adams or a John Terry or Roy Keane, where the manager don't have to keep on saying it. Your players can pick players out, and that's so important. I mean, I don't know if you want to go into management and snods, but I think that's the big thing for me, is to have a big personality in the dressing room, so they don't keep on hearing your voice every single day, because we all know it gets on your nerves in the end.
Switch off as well. Yeah,
of course you do. And you need that player, and that was it. I just wasn't clever enough. I know football, but I wasn't clever enough with my words, and there would have been different ways I'd have put my way across if I had them words.
I think Jeff says that as well on a Saturday, but we'll not go there now.
Yeah. All the lads have got their dictionaries.
What manager do you admire the most right now?
Sorry?
What manager do you admire the most right now for what they're doing?
Jurgen Klopp, without a doubt. Absolute, without a doubt. I mean, what he's done at Liverpool for me is phenomenal. I mean, to get the players there as well, you got to look at these players. I'm a Chelsea fan. If you can get hold of a couple of videos of Salah playing for Chelsea, you could never see this coming. You never see this coming. I mean, He's turned him into a player. You know, the players he's got there is not like every one of them was worldwide wanted. It wasn't like, you know, people like Mane, Firmino, Fabinho, you know, people like that. You know, Robinson, the young Scottish lad. You know, these weren't players that the whole world was after. You know, and he's gone there. And, you know, I believe that Jurgen Klopp could go to a bottom table team in the Championship and in time get them to the Premier League and be able to get a game on and to make them, you know, competitive. You know, people going about Pep Guardiola and he's great, and he is great. They play great football, but every player's £80 million.
Yep.
Every player's £80 million, and the way he plays, you know, the way Jurgen Klopp plays, you can play that way any league in the country. You know, you can go down to a Championship League 2 team and play that way and get the players to play that way. It might not be as good, but you can get them to play that way. I find with Pep Guardiola, if you haven't got the players, I don't see how you can play the Pep Guardiola way. I just honestly can't see how you can play that way.
Yes. See, obviously speaking about Klopp, and when we, every time I've played against Liverpool, I've never seen a front three work as hard. You know, for a manager to get a front three to work as hard. You speak about the goals they score, the assists they get, the work they do for the team is incredible. And as I said to you, in your time and my time, I've never seen front lads work as hard as it.
No, I mean, this is where to every kid I always say, just watch them three. Watch them three.
Yeah,
these are world-class footballers that run around. They work. Their first priority is to work hard. That is their first priority. They work their socks off. You know, I look at I'm a big fan of the midfield three. They're not household names. They're not, you know, they don't do anything special. They haven't, you know, it's not Glenn Hoddle in midfield or Platini. But I always think without them three, I don't see how the fullbacks can do what they do. I mean, you know, it's the work rate of the team is phenomenal. But it all starts at the front. In any game you play, we played in teams.
Yep.
If you don't work at the front, you know, I played against the best defenders in the world at AC Milan, Costa Curta, Maldini, Baresi. I played against them. You know, they were the best I've ever played against. But I'm telling you something, if the midfield three and the front three weren't protecting them and people were running at them every day at pace, 7 out of 10 times you go past them. And that's what it's all about as a team. You know, people go to me how great, you know, this Liverpool team is and everything. They get protection. You know, if someone run at Van Dijk 100 times at pace, they're going to go past him. I don't care what anybody says. People go, oh, he hasn't lost a duel. He hasn't lost this because he don't dive in. He just runs with the player. He runs with the player. The player's fearless. He has a reputation now, and rightly so, that, oh my God, it's Virgil van Dijk. Oh my God, I can't go past him. And you just see people kicking the ball, shooting or crossing it into himself. I mean, you know, it's all about protection. I mean, Henderson, you know, Fabinho, Milner. My God, how do you still play football at that age, at that standard? I'm not joking.
Is he same age as
that
Snoddy?
Standard. You know,
yeah, no,
he's about 5 years older than you, and he's not.
2 years younger than you.
He's not 47.
I mean, honestly, it's phenomenal. I mean, absolutely, honestly, to do what he does is just, I'm a massive Klopp fan, and you're getting world-class players to work every week, and they love him. They come up and cuddle him and everything.
Yeah.
I mean, when I was manager, if I'd have gone and cuddled one of my players, they'd have kicked me in the cods. You know what I mean?
Take a bit of that.
Yeah, take a bit of that, you Burke.
I'm doing a bit of stuff with Sky Sports as well, but how good has that been for you?
Oh, massive. Oh, yeah, a massive help. I mean, you know, you hear people, and there's a lot of footballers that are struggling with mental health and things like that. They come out the game and they don't know what to do. I mean, I was so fortunate. You know, I come out, I become a manager. I left there because I was too good. I was shit, and I got the sack. and then I was lucky enough to go to Sky, and yeah, I'm very grateful. Honestly, I mean, very grateful and very fortunate. You know, you're talking about someone who can't say the names. I mean, I'd never be able to do a co-com in my life. Do you know what I mean? I mean, how would I be able to do a co-com? I can't pronounce the names. But, you know, there's a lot of people that will watch the show that that can't do exactly the same, and I don't try to be anybody different. I just try and be myself, and that's where I think it works. Half the people in the world will love you, the other half will hate you.
And to be brutally honest, it makes no difference. Who cares?
Exactly. I have a tattoo on my arm. Don't judge me until you've walked a mile in my shoes. I mean, it's my favourite saying. Never. You know, you hear so many people go. I hear people in company go, "Oh, what about him? He's a sound-so. He's a sound." Oh, when did you meet him? I haven't met him. You know, Robbie Savage. I hear people go, "Oh, Robbie Savage." I've met Robbie Savage. What a lovely bloke. What a lovely bloke. You know, real nice bloke. And if you haven't met him, I don't know anybody who turns around and says, "What a lovely bloke Robbie Savage is." But they judge him because they see something when he played on the football.
Jump on the bandwagon.
That was his job. When he played football, his job was to upset players. That was his job. But he's a lovely bloke and a real nice bloke. And I've been in his company a few times. So, you know, for me, I'm very fortunate, very lucky. And I love my job. I mean, I can't wait to go back. I really can't.
I'm going to ask you this one. In lockdown, what pundit would you have loved? Or, you know, who would to be in your house were you part of? Stuck in lockdown with? What pundit would you have loved to have been stuck in lockdown with?
Cool. I'm going to go Alan McInally. I think Alan McInally's a funny bloke. I think he's a funny bloke. I think he's one of the best pundits, if I'm being honest. I think when you watch Alan McInally on a Saturday morning when he's in the studio doing 12:30 game or 1:45, whatever it is, I think he's the best. I think he's. Do you know,
Merce? Do you know he played with the? Do you know that he played with the München?
I think he played for Bayern Munich. I've never heard him say that, but I'm sure if I was in lockdown with him, he would have told me 100 times. But,
how many times every 5 minutes?
I mean, you can't argue with him. I mean, I played at Aston Villa and they got a song, Alan McInally, Bertie and the boys. I mean, there's no song about me at Aston Villa. I mean, yeah, I like all the lads, but I think Alan McInally, I think he's the best pundit out of us lot.
Well, Merce, what manager would you be like to stuck in lockdown with? Who would help you through the lockdown times?
Good question. Good question. I'd like to sit with a Brighton manager. I'd like to sit with just to get into his head, you know, to how he got to where he went to where he is now and his ideas. I love them stories. I mean, I'd like to get into his head because he loves playing football. You know, he's gone over to, you know, Scandinavia and worked over there and yeah, I would like to sit in. I would have liked to have sat in lockdown with him. I'd have probably bored him to death, and I'd have got on his nerves in the end. But I just because I wasn't a great manager, and I wasn't, it's one of the things that I would have loved to have been good at, and that's why I love to talk to players and managers. Just as how'd you do it? How did you do it?
Merce, listen. We need to come to the end of the show, which has been disappointing. I've loved every second of it. I just want to say, as a current player to past players, being Boyd, have had people on, and you're an ex-player, but you fit the bill with everything we're trying to do in the podcast here. It's okay to fail. You've been to the very top. Yeah. You've had a great career, but one thing you touched on, you're taking it a day at a time, and the simple things that matter. So. For me, fair play to you. Thanks very much for coming on. I've loved it.
Yeah, pleasure. Thanks for having me.
That's been brilliant. One last thing before we go. What message we have for anyone out there who's been struggling with mental health?
You're not a bad person. You're not a bad person. You're an ill person. Sometimes we could be in addictions and you beat yourself up and you think it's you. Why am I doing this? What am I doing this to my family and my friends? You're ill. You're not a bad person. You're an ill person. You need to get help and you need to talk to someone. And don't be scared to talk to someone. And that's the thing. As soon as you start talking to someone and open up. But then the main thing to remember is we're ill people. We're not bad people trying to get well. We're ill people trying to get well. And I think that's what people have got to remember.
Well, brilliant. Thanks very much for coming on the Lockdown Tactics podcast. It's been fantastic having you. Great insight. And
thank you,
take care and hopefully see you soon. Brilliant, Merce. Thank you.
Thank you. Pleasure.
Cheers, Merce. Thanks, mate. Boydy, that was incredible. I loved how easy it is. You know, we self right now, and I loved how, you know, the guys, he speaks about how in depth he went about, you know, no realising the value of money until he probably got a job himself. I just, you know, I loved every second of that there. It was incredible where, you know, you've seen a guy, you know, struggle with different addictions, but he's in a place right now where he can see he's at ease. He talks about building a house there for his little daughter Sienna, which makes him happy now. So we fully hope he's all enjoyed that, because, you know, that was one that I think, you know, we have the banter in the stories, but, you know, a happy story, a great ending, and we wish, you know, Paul Merson, you know, all the best with his recovery, because he is, you know, taking it a day at a time with his programmes, and it shows you how hard it is with these illnesses, and we must do more. So we hope you enjoyed it. Thanks very much. Stay tuned for some great names coming up. It's been thoroughly enjoying Boydy over the last few months. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel, our Apple Podcast, our Podbean, and our Spotify account, and you'll see some of the big names coming up. Thank you. Cheers. Stay safe.
Thank you. Cheers.